Hello and welcome to CNBC TV18 EBIX Cash Studio. You're watching Markets Today, the show where we track about 6 hours of the day's trading action in 5 headlines. I'm Anuj Singhal and with me is Prashant Nair. Here are the headlines for the day. Markets went higher a day before the budget for the first time in 3 years. Nifty and Sensex gained over 1% each. PSU banks, IT stocks and realty lead from the front. All sectoral indices and higher.
InfoEdge was the top F&O gainer. Stock soared over 11% after the company reported a very strong revenue growth in the third quarter.
After Air India, government announces the sale of Neelachal Ispat with Tata's as the buyers once again. Tata Steel Long Product was the highest bidder at an enterprise value of over 12,000 crore rupees.
Tata Motors misses estimates in the third quarter, reports a net loss of 1,500 crore rupees, but the stock ended the day 4% higher as earnings were reported after markets closed.
And on the eve of the budget, economic surveys guarded on GDP projecting a growth rate of 8 to 8.5 for the upcoming financial year. Says government has the fiscal headroom for additional spending even as it issues a warning about inflation.
Okay, what do we have for you here over the next 30 minutes? It's a packed show. We'll get you views coming in from ASHWINI AGARWAL, co-founder ASHMORE Investment Management, PRASHANT KOTHARI, senior investment manager at Emerging Markets and manager of Pictet Indian Equities Fund. In other big voices, you'll hear from Chintan Thakkar, whole-time director at InfoEdge. And of course, on the macros, economic survey today, Niti Aayog Vice Chairman Rajiv Kumar.
Okay, but first up, here are the key market movers. It was a good day for the market today. In fact, the global cues were strong. The overnight US market cues or the cues from Friday were good. There was this anticipation from budget, the economic survey. So a bit of a Goldilocks scenario. Despite the FII selling, which has been the major problem, the market did well today. And what was important was that IT stocks, they led the way today after the recent underperformance. So Tech Mahindra led the rally for IT stocks. Apart from that, there was some selling in banking, of course, Kotak Mahindra Bank and IndusInd Bank, though not as much as you saw on Friday. So the Bank Nifty also ended in green. And of course, mid-cap IT led by stocks like Mindtree, L&T Infotech, InfoEdge itself, if you want to put it in that category, all these stocks did well. So Prashant, what's happening is that we are heading into the budget now, even though we had a 2-day rally, but still relatively light heading into the budget.
Oh, relatively light. And, actually, while we were covering the last hour of trade, Anuj, markets were looking good, but I went through the entire list of what did well. And actually, it's pretty terrific, the market breadth. And the number of stocks which actually went higher on strong volumes is actually a pretty long one. So let me actually go straight to that. If you can pull up the broader market gainers, right? And I think that's what will give you a sense of what happened. So InfoEdge, for example, there was Tata Elxsi, which was up strongly. There was Canara Bank, which was up strongly. Mindtree, Tech Mahindra, L&T Infotech. I mean, mid-cap tech, of course, had a field day. MMTC was another name, of course, news flow related there. NIIT Limited, Birla Soft, again, smaller IT name, Root Mobile, Godrej Properties, Amber was up 13-14% by close. CCL Products, Chemplast, which reported numbers previously. Lal Pathlabs is starting to turn a little bit after correcting quite a bit. Lemon Tree, Affle India, Fluorochem, Minda, Car Trade, APL Apollo, Inox. I mean, what? These are at least 15, 18 names. And I think I've just sort of covered 50% of the names. It's too long a list. So, I mean, kind of gives you a sense of the ferocious turn backed by volumes we saw across a variety of stocks today. I mean, across sectors. Well, with budget less than 24 hours away, let's get you some opinion from market experts on what they're expecting from the budget document. We spoke with ASHWINI AGARWAL of ASHMORE Investment Management earlier, who said that he would like the government to reinforce the policy intent shown in the last budget. But Prashant KOTHARI of Pictet India Equity Fund believes that the market is not heavily focused on the budget. It will move on irrespective of what lies in it. Listen in.
At the end of the day, the budget should be nothing but a statement of policy intent on part of the government, one. And number two, a presentation of the statement of fiscal accounts. We know for a fact that fiscal accounts are looking good, at least as far as the current fiscal goes. And in terms of statement of policy, I think, the last year's budget was a stellar budget in terms of stating policy intent. I would be very happy to see if it is restated, reinforced, and with probably some tilt towards more rural spending, which is the only area of concern in my mind.
On the budget front, I would say market is not really kind of thinking too much about it. Also, we are not thinking too much about it. I think over years, what we have seen is that budget has become more of a non-event in our eyes. What we're looking for maybe still is that there will be a kind of a returns of that glide path on the fiscal consolidation front, which should be giving confidence to the markets that yes, the overall budgetary kind of track is in a good shape. Apart from that, we just hope that the government continues to focus on the right set of infrastructure activities, also maybe give a bit of a demand stimulus.
Okay, on to our second headline then. InfoEdge was the top F&O gainer, a large cap stock, ended over 11% higher. This after the company saw strong revenue growth in the third quarter. Reema Tendulkar is here with all the details. Reema, over to you.
Thanks so much for that. So it was a very strong quarter from InfoEdge. Revenue growth stood at 15% on a quarter-on-quarter basis, up 48% on a year-on-year basis. If I compare it to pre-COVID levels, revenues are up 26%, and all the segments did well. So their two key segments are recruitment business, which is Naukri, as well as the 99 acres business, or that's the real estate business, and both of them had seen very strong growth this quarter. Billings at record levels. In fact, billings improved for Naukri, 99 acres, Shiksha, but they did decline a bit for the matrimony or Jeevan Sathi business. Margins were under pressure sequentially, so margins declined by 240 basis points quarter on quarter, and that is because the ad expense went up by 30% sequentially. The management commentary was also upbeat. They're hopeful for a good quarter, and the street latched onto that and the very strong growth reported by the company yet again.
Reema, thanks for that. The stock had also corrected from the highs, so there was that tailwind as well. Here's Chintan Thakkar, whole-time director and chief financial officer of the company, who says that while overall margins were actually at 40%, it did take a hit on account of higher spends on with regards to advertising and marketing. Listen in.
So if you look at going back on the margin side, the overall margins are actually 40%, right? And yes, there is an impact of increased spend on marketing advertisement, right? So particularly in the businesses like Jeevan Sathi, where we are investing in our brand, we are kind of pushing the pedal over there, right? And in 99 acres, where we have now started looking at some green shoots, we are increasing the spend over there. I think it's a strong quarter, even from the margin standpoint, if you look at the actual cash margin, and particularly when you look at businesses on the recruitment side, I think it's very strong. And you are right, this is a kind of continuously, if you really look at it, it started a little bit from last year, Q3. Q4 was good. Q1 was also good. So I think it's been momentum that's kind of increasing, it's building up in the recruitment business. And now we can very clearly see a trend line that it's on the upside.
Okay, that was InfoEdge, clearly the big mover of the day. The third headline today, after Air India, the government has announced the sale of Neelachal Ispat, with Tata's as the buyer once again. Tata Steel Long Products was the highest bidder with an enterprise value of over 12,000 crores. The stock of Tata Steel Long Products actually ended flat or ended with about 5% gains. Nigel now joins in with more details. Nigel, over to you.
Well, that's right. That was the big news that we were tracking today. And there were two stocks in focus. One was MMTC. The second one was Tata Steel Long Products. The headline that came in was that NINL has finally got sold to Tata Steel Long Products for an enterprise value of around 12,100 crore rupees odd. Who would be the beneficiaries? Well, MMTC owns nearly 50% stake in the company, so they would obviously be a big beneficiary, while NMDC as well has 10% stake in NINL, but relatively it is a small number for them. What's positive about this asset? Well, it has captive iron ore. The second factor is they've utilized only around 15 to 20% of the land that is allotted. So someone taking over the asset can expand. And the third factor is they have part approvals, whether it's EC or FC approvals, that's foreign clearance as well as environment clearance. They have some part approvals that come in there. So it makes the expansion as well a little bit easier. But the Tata Steel Long Products stock, well, it went up initially, and then from the high point of the day, it did come in for some profit taking. The problem is that the current EV is nearly around 4,000 crores odd, and they're looking at buying an asset with an enterprise value of around 12,100 crores odd. So the street was a little bit nervous about them funding. So that'll be one factor that we'll be tracking. How do they fund this asset, and how do they turn around the asset from year on? The bottom line is really that in the near term, well, the asset seems rather pricey, but in the longer term, it could be a strategic positive for the group on the whole.
Okay, now some macro news flow and opinion. We caught up with the Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog, Rajiv Kumar, who told us that India will see more divestments before the end of the financial year. What you've seen with, Tata Steel Long Products taking over government companies, not the end of it. There is a long line of more companies headed that way. Listen in.
The big thing is that government has been able to do it. We've oiled all the machines, the process is on, and there is support for it, for this government action. And that's a very big thing. Privatization is being mentioned openly, is being done, and the people's support at the broadest level is there. I think therefore we are in for an era of very strong private sector growth and greater efficiency in the public sector, in the public sector and the CPSUs as we go forward.
Okay, well, time for a break now. We'll be back in a couple of minutes with some of the other headlines.